This is the current build I am using for War Gods, and it might be a little weird, but I'll just go with number counts and then I'll explain some choices. But first off, we have 3 Yamatos, which is be obvious, 3 Hitsukas, 2 Murakumos, 3 Habakiris, 1 Orochi, 1 Honest, 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Bear, 2 Effect Veilers, 2 Ward God Advents, 3 Fire Formation Tenkis, 2 Forbidden Lance, 2 Forbidden Dress, 2 Pot of Duality, 2 Mystical Space Typhoon, Trinity, Dark Hole Heavy Storm Monster Reborn, 2 Sword Manifesting War God, 2 Bottomless Trap Holes, 2 Summon Limit, Starlight Road, Solemn Judgment. For the extra deck, we have Stardust Dragon, Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King, 2 Constellar Omegas, 1 M7, 1 Diamond Direwolf, Gaga Cowboy, Maestro Pappy, 2 Starleech Paladynamos, 1 Selphine the Cold Bird Beast, 2 War God Emperor Assassino, and a Black Ship of Corn. And the side deck isn't complete because I wanted to test some things that were in the side deck of a previous build, which are now in the main, which would be the summon limits and the effect value. Still gotta fix it. One thing you might notice is I'm only running 2 Murakumos, and I'd honestly only run 2 Hetsukas as well, because if you keep Yamato on the board, you can toolbox anything into the graveyard and anything to your hand. And I've never had to use Murakumo more than twice, and if not, this is a card. I'm more defensive-minded, so that's why I keep 3 Hetsukas over 3 Murakumos. That, and if you open up a hand with monsters that don't consist of Yamato, Tenki, Duality into either one of those, you're going to have to play one of these down. And if you do not have Honest or Habakiri, which isn't very often, but that is a hand you could have, then you could play both of them in attack and bluff, but either way, the stats on Hitsuka are better either way. So I'd rather see him in my opening dead hand than Murakumo. Now, some people don't like Orochi. I do. It's Yamato toolboxes it to your hand, and you can steal games off of it. I have videos off where that happens, and I think this is the one not fair play that War Gods have. And I feel like you should always have one of these. I don't like Breakthrough Skill or Fiendish Chain because this deck doesn't want their monsters to stop attacking. So I feel Effect Veiler is better because your whole hand is hand traps, pretty much. This War God Advent is a 1-card Sasano, or anything, like 1-card Omega, 1-card Diamond Direwolf, 1-card Selphine. It's just too good mid-late game. Tenki's obvious. I run both Lance and Dress because if you can't keep Yamato on the board, then you shouldn't play this deck. I even almost consider wanting to run My Body as a shield, but for when Yamamoto's already on the board and I want to go for a Sasano play, but they have a back row, and you summon Hetsuka, and they just flip Torrential, and it's like, well, I get to save one, and the other one just goes to the grave, which it can have uses there. There's no problem with that, but I wanted to go for the Sasano play and detach and have the same results with a bigger monster. And honestly, if I had to cut a card for it, it'd either be a Bottomless or an MST, but I don't want to say next format I'm going to cut MSTs because that's silly, because this deck doesn't come out until after next format. And Ophion's a card that facilitates a deck that runs a lot of back row. I wouldn't run 3 necessarily in next format, but I don't want to be caught without having them for Evil Swarms or Rabbit or any other deck that runs back row. Now, I'm not that big of a fan of stopping them from having monsters, but I don't think this is the kind of deck that only wants to run 6 traps, and I don't want to main Gozen match because of Bear. And I don't want to run Torrential Tribute, wasting my Yamoto, even though I could Lance or Dress it to save it. It's Bottomless, just I feel is better for this deck. I'm testing Summon Limit in the main because of next format. I'm not entirely sure. I haven't had the situation come up where I had Summon Limit on the board and tried to activate Advent, this card, to see if that counts as the 2 monsters it brings as 2, or the card itself only counting as 1 summon. But either way, it really shouldn't conflict either. You can flip Summon Limit, play this, and just keep both of them on the board anyway, and protect with Habakiri and these to go for Sasano the next turn. Starlight Road, because you're going to have a lot of cards set, whether they're traps you want to keep or not, but like some of them should be face up, 10 keys should be face up. You should have I always seem to draw these, and even though they're chainable, and if they just try to clear your back row, which isn't even that great against this deck anyway, if you see my spell and trap lineup, it still punishes them. It's like, on top of a Yamoto they can't seem to run over because they're not sure if you have a Habakiri in hand. Now they have to deal with a Stardust. It's too good. I wouldn't not want to have it. And I don't like Solemn Warning because it's just too much life point paying for in this day and age. I'm sad to say that that's a thing now, but yeah. But I still think you can't drop Solemn Judgment. Solemn Warning doesn't necessarily help you push for game. It can stop them from doing something on their turn, and then you can push for game, but it's still their turn to do something else. But Solemn Judgment, like, it's on you throw everything on your board, and you just want to get all in there, and they just flip a trap that ruins your day, and you can just Solemn Judgment it, and just be like, no thank you, I want to win. And the extra deck, I would assume, is pretty standard. I know some people don't like running Pappy, but I do. And Starleech Paladynamo is my favorite Exceed of all time. He's just too good. He's way too good. And for the side deck, obviously Droll and Lockbird for the Prophecy matchup, even though I don't like this card. Maxi, because we really do need draw power. Yeah, a lot of people would probably run Horn of the Phantom Beast in this deck, but I've never had it win me a game. In fact, like one of the only times I was actually even able to use it was against the Malefic match, and that just ran over a Cyber End, which then he just paid half his life points to put the 5k beater on, and that didn't have Habakiri in hand, he just runs over Yamoto anyway. Even with Horn of the Phantom Beast on, so it's like, whatever. And Yamoto plus Horn of the Phantom Beast, points for points for Big Eye, but if they make Big Eye anyway, they're just going to steal your Yamoto, and then you just lose from there. And it points for points with Dragosack, and if it makes tokens, it can either A, just blow it up, or B, attack it and not die because it has a token. So I feel it's not a good card for the format coming up, and we already have enough battle phase tricks to not need it. Though the draw power, I would understand if people want to run it for the draw power. It's just not for me. I'd rather just put in the Maxis, depending on the matchup. The third MST, you know, for the rogue matchups and the rabbit builds and whatnot. Compulse, same, just deals with problematic black and white cards. Dust Tornado, same as MST, goes in because the only card that's not light is Bear. And obviously when you go to game 2 and 3, you can side out the Bear. You don't even have to drop a 10 key. You just put in your Gozen matches. And these are here just because Dragossack is going to be a bitch and a problem. And my very first duel testing War Gods was against a full Phantom Beastcraft deck, and it was not fun going against them. Their trap card that gives them a token on your turn is stupid and should not exist. And these two cards should help against that deck because I don't think what they do is fair. But yeah, that's what I'm running now and why I'm not running various traps. I mean, this should be all you need. You really, I'd probably throw in a third Veiler, take out an MST, and go from there, because this trap is really all you need if you can keep Yamoto on the board. It's just too good. But yeah, that's the deck profile, and if I do another deck profile, it'll be of Thunder Family.